get it?
Yeah. I did. I felt it. It's hard to describe.
Very, very good. Your turn.
Now.
Not so hard.
Sorry.
Now. Now.
Did you get it?
Yeah, you stop thinking.
Yes. It's fantastic.
It's like I'm here, but I'm not. So I'm not here. It's just. I don't know. Do it one more time. It's like I'm a rock or a dish of mold. I'm whatever else is around, so I'm free to just exist.
This is the answer. We just have to be this all day, every day.
It's the answer.
Do it again. Do it again.
Now!
Careful, my young students. You cannot stay in this state all day.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
It is inevitable that you are drawn back into human drama, desire, suffering, everything that exists in this imperfect world.
Shit.
So we get drawn back into human drama and how important we think that is. Then we do crazy stuff. We have to go back to the ball so we can get the freedom of being like a dish of mold.
Yes, and then back to the drama, the suffering.
It's kind of a crappy deal.
C'est exactement ça. An absurd theatrical we must play out back and forth from pure being to human suffering.
But isn't the drama and suffering less if we do the ball thing every day?
Don't call it the ball thing. Call it pure being.
Well, doesn't the pure being ball thing make the day-to-day suffering easier?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Hi, my name is Marissa Robinson, and I'm a psychotherapist. And today I want to talk to you about spiritual wellness. So I first want to start with some definitions because I think I didn't know what spiritual wellness was before learning more about it. So when I think about spiritual wellness, I think of a higher sense of purpose, meaning, value in your life, meeting your own needs, exploring and feeling connected to your authentic self and the world around you. Also participating in activities that are consistent with your beliefs and your values. We'll go more into all of that. A myth about spiritual wellness is that we need religion in order to be spiritual. So when I think about religion, I think about it as a support to your spiritual wellness. So after we've taken time to explore our spiritual wellness, to look inwards and kind of explore what our meaning in life is, meeting our own needs, what those needs are, our values and beliefs, we are able to see where we align. Maybe a religion really expresses these values and beliefs in a way that feel true to you. And so joining that religious house or religion can help you feel more supported in the community. But you certainly don't have to be religious in order to be spiritual. In fact, I believe that my spirituality is more about me, is more about connecting to who I am and living in a way that feels authentic to me. That doesn't mean I'm not religious, but in my mind, spiritual wellness is more about me being connected to me being connected to people around me that align with my beliefs, values, and meanings, and that I also am connected to the outside world and world around me. So how does spiritual wellness relate to your mental health? When I think about it, I think about the word authenticity. I think we heard a lot about that in my definition of spiritual wellness. When I think about spiritual wellness, I think about meeting your own needs, feeling, noticing what your needs are, and being able to express your authentic self in a way that you live in a true and honest way. So when I think about spiritual wellness, I think about honing into your authentic self. Also, spiritual wellness can decrease your stress and anxiety. One way that you can kind of live in a spiritual way is by meditating, by having quiet time, by embracing the silence and solitude. And that can be a decrease in your stress and anxiety. In turn, it can increase your self-esteem and confidence because you're embracing this authenticity. You're living in a way that is true to you. And in that, it feels like you're capable, you're confident. You don't need to rely on anyone else or compare yourself. You're kind of on your own path. And that is how it can increase your self-esteem and confidence. Another way is, I think I mentioned this in the definition, is that you feel connected with the relationship with yourself. You feel like you have positive and healthy relationships with others and have a positive relationship with the world around you in your environment. Often when we are living in an authentic way, we probably aren't engaging in relationships that feel toxic or not right or hurtful to us. We're normally engaging in relationships that feel really good and healthy to us, as well as feel like our space is clean, that we live in a space that feels good and calm for us. So that can be some things that you normally find when you are embracing yourself, your spiritual wellness as well. There's also a sense of acceptance. You accept yourself and those around you. And it's not, once again, that comparing or living in societal norms. You're really connecting to yourself and living a way that feels true to you. So with that, how do we improve our spiritual wellness? I'm going to give you an example. When I feel the most connected to myself, and I'm embracing my spiritual wellness, I normally feel a sense of grounded connection and feel like the fullest version of myself. And I started to wonder, and I want you to do the same, of when you do feel that sense of connection, groundedness, and feel full. When I feel that way, I think about my running path back home. And I think about when it is just a flat road ingrained in nature and it just kind of goes. And I'm jogging. And normally I listen to music when I jog, but here I don't. I just listen to the nature sounds. I notice my emotions. I allow myself just to explore what myself, my authentic self is saying, what I need, any beliefs and values I have, what it feels like to be in this authentic space. And then I start to notice what other ways I feel like that like I do when I'm running. And I start to notice when I'm with this friend, I feel this way. When I'm by myself meditating, I feel this way. When I'm in the therapy room, I feel this way. And then you can kind of pick out when you're really feeling authentic. So that's a way that I explore my spiritual wellness, is when I feel my most grounded, connected, and fullest. And then it gives you permission to explore your personal values and your higher purpose in life. I want us to dedicate a quiet time where you feel like you can be your most grounded, fullest version of yourself so that you can explore these questions too. I know that feels a little daunting, but most of the time when you are grounded and feeling good and that you can just be with you, is times where you might find those answers and surprise yourself. So I want you to dedicate a quiet time and create a routine of this. This can be a minute, this can be an hour, this can be 10 minutes within your day. It doesn't have to look any certain way. It just feels right. It feels true. And most times you would have to embrace the silence and solitude. Just because you're alone does not mean that you're lonely. It means that you're actually just allowing yourself to be with you. So you can ask yourself these questions. So that's some ways to improve your mental and how it relates to your mental health and how you can improve your spiritual wellness.
One of the things that you mentioned is about core values. And to me, I would translate that into belief systems. Okay, the number of beliefs that you have, the list and the length and the magnitude of the beliefs that you have on the littlest things that you feel are important, are what makes your philosophy. And those are, I would guess, your core values, as you put it. And in doing this, I think the only way, other than being lucky or just being absolutely gifted to being successful, is you have to figure out what those are. That is absolutely your number one challenge, is to figure out what it is that makes up your core values. Because until you do, you don't know who you are. And if you don't know who you are, you don't know how to be you. And it's hard for young people, because how could you possibly? But that is your challenge, and that is what you have to get done. And it is what came out of it. It took me all these years till I got here to have it where I felt very comfortable about it, and I couldn't wait to cut it loose. So that's the long story.
are your core values? A core value are the beliefs that are foundational to who you are. Your core values are keys to your personality. A core value drives your actions and your ideas. Let me give you an example. One of my good friends, her main core value is justice or fairness. And everything about how she operates has to do with fairness. So for example, I'll say, hey, do you want to go to the movies later? And she'll be like, yeah, whose turn is it to drive? I drove last time. It's your turn to drive this time. She's all about making sure that we take equal turns. Or if we're eating dinner out and the bill comes, she'll say, I ordered one more drink than you. I don't want you to pay more than me. I'll add $3 more on the tip. She's always making sure that everything is fair and just. Even when I say, oh no, we're all good, we're fine, I don't even think that way. Fairness and justice is a major part of her core value system. Knowing that about her helps me make sure that I am honoring her sense of fairness and justice. It's really, really helpful to not only know your 5 main core values, but also the people in your life's core values. I highly recommend first, I'm going to read the 50 top core values to you next. I want you to try to pick the 5 that feel most like you. Now, when I say feel most like you, I don't mean idealistically. I mean practically. These are things that you think about all the time, that when you're making decisions, when you get up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, they're the things that really drive you. You know that something's a core value. If you don't have it, it drives you crazy, right? So for my friend, when something doesn't feel fair or just, she goes crazy. She can't relax until it's fair again. So it's a nice test. If you can't figure out if something's a true core value or not, think of what would happen if you didn't have it. Would you be able to relax? If not, it's probably a core value. Bonus next, send this video to a good friend, a colleague, a spouse, a partner, and ask them for their 5. Knowing your people's core values can help you understand how they operate, can help you understand their behavior and speak to them in a way that helps them feel valued. When we know someone's core values, it helps us value them. Okay, I'm gonna go through these 50. Now I want you to get out a pen and paper. I like to make this super practical. Get out a pen and paper. As I begin to read these, some of the core values you'll be like, nice, but don't need. This is not a nice to have. A core value is a need to have. If there is a word that you're like, yes, that feels like me, I want you to write it down. You'll probably pull out 10 or 12, and then I want you to go through a culling where you get rid of the ones that aren't the most important until we get to the last 5. Here we go. Here are the top core values, and I'm gonna go through these pretty fast because I don't want you to overthink it. Only write it down if it feels so much like you, you can't not write it down. What drives you? Achievement, wealth, wisdom, adventure, authority. Let's stop with those first 5. Achievement, wealth, wisdom, adventure, authority. Here's a little test. When you think about why you do your to-do list or what gets you up in the morning, do you want to achieve a lot of things? That's achievement. Are you driven by wealth or money? That's wealth. Do you want to be wise? Is it important for you to be in the know at all times? It's wisdom. Are you driven by adventure, where the money doesn't matter as much, the wisdom doesn't matter as much, but all you want is a life full of adventure? That's a core value. Authority. This means you want to be in charge. You don't like to have a boss. You don't like anyone in charge of you. In fact, making sure you are your own authority is very important. That's just an example of how those 5 work to see which ones resonate with you. And some of them, none of them might not have felt like you. That's okay too. Autonomy, balance, beauty, justice, openness, optimism, peace, pleasure, poise, boldness. Okay, I'm going to pause right there. Any jump out at you? Remember, these are core values. So for example, if beauty was a core value, you would be the kind of person who would not want to leave the house unless you are looking your best. If poise was a core value, you would want to make sure that you were in good behavior at all times. If balance was a core value, you would want to make sure that everything in your life is equally balanced. You always feel you're in harmony. In fact, you would lose sleep over making sure that your life feels very balanced. Some ideas to give you for core values. Okay, next 10. Authenticity, empathy, community, creativity, curiosity, determination, fairness, faith, fame, friendships. Okay, Okay, we're going to pause right there. We're halfway through. And you can't write everyone down. Remember, that's why I'm going fast. What are the ones that stick out to you? This is what you would change your behavior for. So for example, if friendship is one of your core values, you would put your friendships before other things. You would be thinking about them before bed. You would be optimizing for them. Those would be a priority on your to-do list. Seeing your friends would be more important than other things in your life if they're a core value. Next 10, fun, kindness, knowledge, leadership, learning, love, loyalty, growth, happiness, humor. Okay, so think about those 10. Learning is one of my top core values. So that one is major on my list. I'm always learning and also helping other people learn. I make that a priority in my life. In fact, almost all of my to-do list has something to do with learning. The whole reason I put free YouTube videos out is to make sure that other people are learning, that I'm facilitating learning. Most of my day is researching or learning for myself. That's one of my core values. All right, next ones. Influence, popularity, recognition, stability, success, status, trustworthiness. Okay, we're going to pause here. So again, these have to be a priority for you. So for example, if you felt that status was number one or a core value for you, you would want to make sure that your needs are being recognized, that your status is known. And that would be a very important part of who you are. Okay, last ones. Reputation, respect, responsibility, security, self-respect, service, spirituality, and last one, honesty. Now, I want you to think about this and I want you to pare them down until you get your top 5. You cannot have too many core values that are not actually core values. Think about your top 5 and then find out the people in your life, what their core values are. You'll notice this is how you make decisions. In fact, if you want to make the right decisions for yourself, you should check your decisions against your core value list. That will help you feel happier in your decisions and have less remorse or regret. When we're making decisions aligned with our core values, we feel good about what we're doing. We feel good about our decision. I'm very curious what your core values are. List your 5 below. I would love to read them. And remember, my core value is all about learning. I have tons of free trainings. Go to scienceofpeople.com/training. That's where you're going to see all of my paid courses, but also all of my free courses. I have tons of free trainings. I've made a life commitment to always hosting amazing free trainings so I can help others with their learning as well. I'm here for you. I always will be. Go check out some of our free trainings, and I can't wait to help you learn further.
The theory of breath work is that breathing is the only thing you can do completely consciously or completely unconsciously. It's run by 2 different sets of nerves and muscles, by the voluntary system and the involuntary system. And as a result, it offers the only chance to get at and influence the involuntary nervous system. Disturbances in the involuntary nervous system are responsible for a great deal of chronic disease. The involuntary nervous system has 2 divisions: the sympathetic system, which revs things up and prepares us for emergencies, for fight or flight responses, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which has the opposite effect. Both of these have to be in balance. In most people in our culture, the tone of the sympathetic system is much too high. There are all sorts of reasons for that. All the stimulation in the environment, stress, all of it. But most of us go through life with things tilted in that direction, and that is responsible for a lot of high blood pressure, circulatory problems, digestive problems, and so forth. Of all the methods that I've seen of relaxation, the most time-effective and cost-effective are breathing techniques. And I'll go over this one breathing exercise with you. I think this is an example of the kind of thing that integrative medicine can find out there that's not even on the radar screen of conventional medicine. When I try to talk to most doctors about breathing, breath work, they lose interest. It's too simple. It's not taken seriously because it's too simple. It literally makes use of something you have right under your nose. It uses no equipment. It's free.
how possibly could it do anything? I mean, that's the attitude that prevails in our medical system. And this, as I said, this is a prime example. If you think about if just this one thing was brought into mainstream medicine, how much this would cut costs, cut adverse outcomes, improve medical effectiveness. Just one kind of thing that integrative medicine can bring into the mainstream. So the basic principle of breathing practice is to make your breath deeper, slower, quieter, and more regular. Those are the qualities of breathing that you want to develop. So whenever you think about it, if you're in a supermarket line, if you're driving, try to make your breath deeper, slower, quieter, and more regular.
There's a pattern of breathing that we all do in sleep when our carbon dioxide levels in our bloodstream get too high, and we do this when we get claustrophobic, meaning we do it reflexively, and that's a double inhale through the nose followed by a long exhale. So it's, and yes, the inhales should be through the nose, and yes, the exhales should be done through the mouth, ideally. So it's a big filling of the lungs through 2 breaths back to back, inhales. Even if you can only sneak in a little air on that second one, no talking if you're going to do it right, and then a long exhale, which allows you to offload a lot of carbon dioxide in the exhale. People report, and the data point to the fact that it's very calming. People feel more relaxed afterwards, and that relaxation wicks out into other aspects of their life.
So now I'd like to talk to you about some breathing exercises you can do at home that will help with your asthma. A lot of times what we see happen with folks with asthma, and even folks without asthma who are stressed out or maybe have high anxiety, is we breathe from our shoulders in our thoracic area, this upper chest area. So you'll see a lot of shoulder shrugging and chest rising, and the belly sucks in. What we want you to do is breathe more from the diaphragm. So what we see when people are breathing from the diaphragm is the belly will poke out as opposed to the chest rising. So one way you can work on that is to take one hand and place it right over your chest. Take your other hand and put it right over your belly, just below the ribs. And what we'd like to see is if, as you breathe inward, your lower hand is going to poke out. So your belly pokes out. Upper hand doesn't move much. Maybe it rises a little bit at the end, but most of the movement's down here. As you exhale, this hand will come in as your belly sinks down and comes down in a little bit more. So that shows us you're breathing from the diaphragm. What you may find is you're a chest breather. The chest rises, the shoulders shrug, the belly sucks in on the inhale. That's the opposite of what we want. So one way you practice this is as you breathe in, the bottom hand comes up. Little movement up here. And you just work on getting that lower belly to poke out as you breathe in, have it suck in as you breathe out, and that shows us that you're breathing more from the diaphragm. You can practice that for 5 to 10 minutes a day, probably 3 to 4 times a day. It's something that will become instinctive with practice. At first, you may not be able to do it, you may struggle with it, all the breathing may happen up here. That's okay. It's like any learned movement. Once you get good at it, it'll get easier, and you'll start to do it throughout the day without thinking about it. You can also do this seated. It becomes a little bit harder from the seated position because now we're scrunching things down. You may need to start lying down on your back, which can be even easier. More sensation of what's happening through your middle. You'll get some feedback from the ground along your low back. So this can be done standing, seating, lying down. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are lots of different breathing exercises you can do on your belly in different positions, holding your breath, exhaling your breath as far as you can, inhaling as deeply as you can. So there could be a whole separate video, but at least start working on breathing through your diaphragm to improve that breathing capacity and decrease those asthma symptoms.
Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4.
Are there any advanced breathing techniques? I tell you, when you go more focused with a great good intention, very peaceful into the breathing exercise, you get absolutely to a unprecedented depth of yourself. That's what you actually are searching for. To go into advancing, this technique goes to the full depth. It's up to your investment in the moment that you make the advancing area opening up to you.
I think one of the probably the biggest surprise in researching the podcast over the last 18 months, because that's when we started, was we decided to do an episode on gratitude. And I thought, okay, gratitude, we did it for Thanksgiving. I thought, okay, it's going to be thanking people and things. Turns out that if you look at the research on gratitude, first of all, the increases in dopamine and serotonin and feelings of subjective well-being from people that have a regular, effective gratitude practice, we'll talk about what that is immense. It's immense. These are skyrocket effects. What is the most effective gratitude practice? It turns out it's not sitting there and being thankful, it's receiving gratitude or observing someone else receiving gratitude. I thought that gratitude was all about being grateful. It's actually receiving gratitude or observing some instance in which somebody is receiving genuine gratitude. Totally surprised me, but and so this means give gratitude, right? Give thanks, but also be in a position to receive thanks. And so it's these kind of nuanced things might seem small, but one thing I try and do is, I try and since I can't walk around asking for gratitude, and that's not my style, I like to think my ego's at least slightly more in check than that. I try and really let people that I care about and I'm grateful to know that. But I do that for them, not for me. And so that's something I pay a lot of attention to. It feels kind of weak sauce. It's kind of like people go, oh, that's kind of like weenie stuff, like gratitude. The data show that gratitude and avoiding toxic people and focusing on good quality social interactions, physical contact with animals, kids, and loved ones, the huge increases in serotonin, oxytocin. These are no longer the kinds of things that are just talked about at the end of a yoga class, right? This is real science with brain imaging and measurements of chemicals from the brain and blood. And so I've tried to incorporate more of that stuff that isn't as kind of forward center of mass, get after it kind of stuff. I do that stuff, but I also try and, have a good life and surround myself with good people.
Well, just think about the way it makes you feel. When you're around good people and you enjoy your time, you feel better while you're doing it. That's got to be good for you.
Gratitude erases negativity. Joy and depression cannot reside in the same space. You feel me?
And release all of those sounds that are trapped in your mind.
Sir, are you okay?
I'm a little messed up.
Truly behavioral tools that quality peer-reviewed science say can improve focus and concentration significantly. A 13-minute meditation done every day for a period of 8 weeks. That meditation led to significant improvements in focus and concentration ability, as well as other aspects of cognitive performance. It also improved mood and reduced stress. So you might be wondering, what exactly is this meditation? The meditation is very simple, and it's one that anyone can perform. What you would want to do is set a timer for 13 minutes. You would sit or lie down, close your eyes, and you would simply focus on your breathing. Most people are going to benefit from only doing that breathing through their nose, but if you have some sort of obstruction or inability to breathe just through your nose, you could probably also do it by breathing through your nose and mouth, or just your mouth. But ideally, you would do just nasal breathing for a period of 13 minutes, concentrating on that breathing. And concentrating, meaning bringing your awareness, your interoceptive awareness, to a point just about an inch inside of your forehead. Now, of course, that might sound kind of gory to some of you. You've never actually been inside your forehead, but just about an inch behind your forehead is where you would want to place your concentration while also concentrating on your breathing. Now, here's the thing about meditation that all studies of meditation show, which is that unless you are a very experienced meditator, your concentration, your focus will drift away from your breathing and away from that location about an inch inside your head, inside your brain, about just behind your forehead. That will happen maybe every 10 seconds, every 20 seconds, maybe even every 5 seconds. But an important part of such a meditation practice to improve concentration and focus is that you are continually refocusing back to that specific location and refocusing back on your breath. This is something that, again, is not often discussed. People think that if you do a meditation and you're supposed to concentrate on your breath, that if your mind drifts, that somehow you failed in that meditation. But actually, that's not the case. A huge component of improving your ability to focus and concentrate by way of neuroplasticity, rewiring of the circuits for focus and concentration, is the repeated return to a state of focus from a state of non-focus or diminished focus. Okay, so think about it like trying to drive down the freeway and staying between the lane lines. And every once in a while, because there's a bit of drift on the vehicle, it starts to drift right a little bit. Then you hit the rumble strip, and then you pull back to the center. That's really what a focused meditation practice is about, as opposed to expecting yourself to stay between the mental lane lines, so to speak. So if you're somebody who's going to do a practice of the sort that I described, 13-minute meditation practice every day, you'd want to sit or lie down, close your eyes, start to concentrate on your breath, focus your attention on a location about an inch behind your forehead, and then fully expect that at some point you'll be thinking about something else. And that's a cue to focus back to that location just about an inch behind your forehead and back to your breath. By doing that repeatedly over and over, what you're really training up is the network within your brain that indeed includes that prefrontal cortex that you're focusing on, as well as some other structures, the infratemporal cortex, indeed the hippocampus, a structure associated with memory, and other components of the neural circuit that are involved in directing our mental focus and concentration. Again, I can't emphasize the importance of this practice being one of focusing and refocusing. In fact, I would prefer to call such a practice a refocus meditation. But this sort of meditation practice has been shown in the study by the Suzuki Lab and other studies to really improve people's ability to focus and remain focused. So much so that in the beautiful book, Altered States, they describe a number of different meditation practices, some a little bit longer than the one that I described, one that's 17 minutes, another one that's 30 minutes. Some people meditate as long as 60 minutes a day, although that's quite a long time in my opinion. The point here isn't how long you focus or somehow trying to achieve total focus for the entire 13-minute or 17-minute or 60-minute bout of meditation. While that would be wonderful, and I think many people aspire to do that, that's a lot of hard mental work. I think for most people out there, including myself, a relatively short meditation practice of about 13 minutes in which you fully expect your focus and concentration to drift, but that you are continually refocusing is going to be the most effective, yes, indeed, the most effective at teaching yourself to focus and stay concentrated.
Oh shit!
Batista going for a ride! Yes!
I can almost reach your head.
Wait, this is hilarious. Wait, don't. I'm like doing it, kind of. Oh my god, you just got sick. Oh my god. Oh my god, come on. Oh my god, come on. Oh.
When you're ready to come out, it's as if someone pulls you up through the left arm and you press into your feet. And then you move your feet around. If you want to take the block with you, you'll just have to get it and bring it around. And we do the same thing on the other side. Arms out to the side, inhaling.
Here is the year that you start doing yoga, and I mean for real this time. You're going to join the 36 million plus Americans who have taken up this beautiful practice, connecting yourself with a millennia-old tradition and helping you flush out those nasty toxins, or, probably not. But before you grab a mat, here's what yoga really does to your body and brain. First of all, yoga comes in many, many different styles, but generally speaking, it involves some amount of stretching and meditation. Now, despite what you may have read, there's no scientific evidence to support the idea that yoga will flush out toxins from your colon or anywhere else. But that doesn't mean these techniques can't help your body in many other ways. Take back pain, for instance. An estimated 80% of Americans will suffer from back pain at one point in their lives. But one study found that after just 6 to 12 yoga sessions, participants reported significantly less pain in their lower back. That's because certain yoga poses stretch out your hamstrings, which, when they're too tight, can yank on your hip flexors and strain your lower back. But the more you practice yoga, the more flexible your hamstrings get. For example, in a 2015 study, women practiced a type of hatha yoga, which involves positions like downward dog and triangle pose. They practiced 90 minutes each week for around 16 weeks straight. And by the last week, they could reach 4 centimeters closer to their toes than before, thanks to those loose hamstrings. Now, if you're also meditating during those yoga sessions, the flexibility might not be the only benefit. After 7 to 16 weeks of meditative activities, participants in one study saw a huge drop in C-reactive proteins in their blood. Those proteins are linked to inflammation, which, when you're overly stressed, can kick into overdrive. And over time, that inflammation may contribute to serious illnesses like cardiovascular disease and cancer. That's where yoga's meditative qualities can help. Researchers suspect that yoga may reduce stress by interfering with the central nervous system's ability to release stress hormones. Plus, studies show that meditation-focused types of yoga, like yoga asana, boost levels of feel-good hormones like oxytocin in the brain. Plus, yoga is an exercise, and exercise in and of itself is a stress reliever. In fact, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services recommends 2.5 to 5 hours a week of light to moderate exercise. That can include workouts like yoga, brisk walking, or swimming. And to be fair, any amount of regular exercise is most likely going to reduce anxiety, elevate mood, and improve sleep and self-esteem. So while yoga might have an edge in the flexibility department and mindfulness department, there are plenty of other activities you can try to get fit. But as long as it gets you moving and maybe gives you some new friends, why not give it a try?